Hey everybody, it's Nancy Jones here. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. I appreciate you. Listen, Valentine's Day is coming up. Yes, love is in the air. People are thinking about roses and cotton candy. The ladies are feeling good and hopeful about love. I don't know how the men are feeling, but we appreciate y'all for being a part of the season as well. Today I want to talk to you about sex. Sex, and the church. Okay? I've had this conversation before, and I get all kinds of pushback from churches, from religious folks, because they don't feel like this is a topic that should be discussed at all. I know that some people are naturally more private. Some people, like myself, are more transparent, more open about things. Some people are shy. Some people get uncomfortable. Some people are introverted. Some are extroverted. But if you have children, or if you are married, if you're in a relationship designed by God where sex is supposed to be present, this is something that you have to get comfortable talking about. You don't have to, but it benefits you to get comfortable talking about it. I'm going to hit on two things: being a married woman, and how I deal with sex, and then also being a mother and how I talk to my children about sex. First of all, sex is not a bad word. Us as believers have to understand that sex is not a bad or dirty word. That God created sex. He created it for pleasure. He created it for procreation. It's a gift to us in matrimony. And I think because everything that God creates, the enemy takes and he perverts it. We allow the enemy to take good things that God has given us and make us feel like there's something wrong with it. To the point that there are actually some married people in the kingdom of God that don't feel comfortable having sex with their spouses because of erroneous things that they were taught about sex. The marriage bed is undefiled. It's between you and your partner, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. It's a very intimate thing. It's a very important thing to marriage. But also, it has benefited me over the years, even being able to have conversations with friends about sex. I don't practice talking to other men about sex. I don't think that's a good idea. But I have girlfriends where we have conversations about things that we've experienced. We give each other advice. I tried this. I don't know. It didn't work for me. Okay, well, I tried that. And some people are uncomfortable with that. Some people feel like my sex life is private. It's nobody's business what I can do or can't do. And that's perfectly fine. But then other people are like, look, I want to get as much out of my sex life as possible in this marriage. And so if there's someone who has had an experience that can help me, if I can get some advice, then I'm going to share. And I'm going to also let people share with me. It depends on what you're comfortable with, but at the end of the day, it is not sinful to have conversations about sex because sex is not evil. You can take something that God created and pervert it and do evil things with it, but that doesn't mean it's evil in and of itself. So we cannot allow the world or the enemy to take something that is beautiful as sex that God has created and take it away from us, take all the joy and the pleasure of having it, talking about it, celebrating it, and just make us feel bad about it. I think that's really, really sad. So enough on that. Talk to your friends about it that you trust. If there are questions that you have, or you just need to bounce some ideas off on some people or discuss something, get some off your chest, it's good to have close people in your life that you can talk to about things like this. But what I really want to talk about is for those of you who have children that are, they could be in elementary school. My children are in elementary school, elementary, middle, high school. I want you to know, lean in close. I want you to know that your children are talking about sex. Their kids, their peers are talking about it. It's coming up in conversations. Some of these kids take cell phones to school, tablets to school that have access to the internet, and they're pulling up things. It may not even be your child. Your child's friend may have found something. They pull up something, and now they're like, "Whoa, what is this?" When they come home with questions, how do you respond? This is so important. I've worked with young people for over 20 years, And sex is always a difficult topic for parents and their children. We don't want them having sex. We don't want them thinking about sex. We don't want them talking about it. We want to pretend it doesn't exist because we're so afraid that somebody gonna come home with a baby or the disease and then their life is over, right? Well, we know their life is not over. It's such an important topic. And the way we know it's important because the enemy uses sex all the time to get in people's heads, to mess them up, to get them, especially our young people, to get them focused, to break up marriages because of infidelity. Sex is a powerful thing. That pull, the seduction of it is very, very powerful. It doesn't just work on men. It doesn't just work on women. It works on boys and girls too. They're starting to have feelings in their bodies. They're trying to understand what it is that they're feeling. And it's so scary. It can be scary for kids, but it's so important that they feel comfortable talking to you as their parent. If not you, someone in their life, a trusted adult that they can talk to process what they're getting from their peers, what they're seeing on TV, what they're seeing in their phones, what they're seeing in their friends' phones. The sex message, sexuality, and the awareness of it is hitting kids a lot earlier than it used to back in the day. And I want parents to be equipped to get in front of it instead of behind it. You don't want to wake up one day and realize that your child is watching porn or that your child has had sex and you didn't know it because you never talked to them about it. Or at the end of the day, you don't want some other 15-year-old or 14-year-old child telling your child about sex because they don't know what they're talking about. You want to be the one that controls that narrative. Okay, it's a very important narrative because once those floodgates are open, once sex is on the brain, once those messages start coming in, the feelings in the body, once they see any act of sex or anything, it changes. It's like a locomotive. Okay, now this is a part of our lives. So we have to be realistic about what it is and get in front of it. I think the church has done a poor job at handling the subject of sex. I feel like we've run away from it. It's not going anywhere. The media is showing it. The enemy is showing it. It's not going anywhere. We are not equipping our kids to deal with the realities of sexuality. I know for a fact that there are some youth pastors and youth directors that try to have conversations with kids about sex, not because they bring it up, but because the kids are bringing them up, and the kids feel comfortable enough to talk to these youth directors about what they're facing in school because their parents won't talk to them, and they don't feel comfortable talking to their parents. And they talk to the youth director or the youth pastor, and there's still a problem. The parents don't even want the youth director and the youth pastor talking to their kids about it either. It's like, I don't want to talk to them about it, and I don't want you to talk to them about it. What? So you just sending your children out there like sheep amongst wolves, completely dumb about the topic, not knowing what's going on. You're setting your children up for failure if you don't have these conversations. And so how you do it is up to you, but the goal should be, I want my children comfortable enough to come to me if they have a question. If they feel pressured, I want them to feel comfortable enough to be honest with me about the experiences that they're having, knowing that I will not judge them and I will not attack them for being human beings. Sometimes we forget the struggles that we've had as young people, and we want our children to think we're perfect, or we don't want them to know all the dirt that I've done because I want you to do better than me. Telling them about your truth and what you've experienced is not going to make them do what you did. If you tell them the truth and say, hey, this is what I did, I don't think it was not a great idea. This is the consequence that followed that action. Children are very, very smart. I will tell you, I had a wonderful, open relationship with my mother growing up. I could talk to her about sex. I could talk to her about what popped into my mind about sex, what I was thinking about, what my friends talked about. And my mom would listen, and she would tell me the truth in an age-appropriate way. We were so close that I did not have sex until I was 21 years old. I was in college. And it was because the lure and the mystery of sex, it wasn't mysterious to me because my mom had showed me books, not pornographic books, but like sex education books. We talked about things. I knew the names of the body parts. I knew what to expect. This is what's going to happen. Sometimes you're going to feel some heat down here. Sometimes you get some moisture or whatever. And she said it's completely normal, but we've made a commitment to God that you're going to remain abstinent until you're married. That was the goal. It wasn't until later that I realized at that time I didn't want to be married, but I wanted to have sex. So at 21, I said, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to worry about getting married. I'm just going to get this money. But so the first time I had sex was when I was 21 years old. And even then, all of the emotions and the attachments that came along with it, I was like, oh my gosh. I was cognizant enough to know that just because I'm thinking about this man every hour doesn't mean I love him. It's the chemical attachment that I have to him because we've been intimate in that way. Because my mother taught me that's what it's going to feel like, but that doesn't mean it's love. And love is something different. And so I was cognizant enough to know that this isn't love, but it still had that attaching effect to me. And I remember it was really hard to let go of that man that took my virginity. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if kids are going through this at 14 and 15 years old, where they're experiencing this emotional attachment, oh, that's a lot to deal with. Oh my gosh, because I was struggling with it at 21 and I was very intelligent. And kids are going through this emotion and this experience and this feeling, and nobody's talking to them about. No adult is guiding them. No adult is saying, tell me, I can give you advice on this. No, they have nobody. Wow. That's sad. I think that the church needs to find, that's my baby screaming. I think that the church needs to figure out a way to have conversations and apply the gospel to relevant situations, current situations that families are dealing with, that women are dealing with. These kids are dealing with. They're dealing with being introduced to sex at an early age. They're dealing with boys saying that they're girls and girls saying that they're boys. There's so many different types of sexual you can be. Transsexual, bisexual, pansexual. It's all kind of sexuals these days. It wasn't that many before, or at least we didn't know about it. And so a lot of these kids are confused. They don't know what to do with all this information. They need guidance from the Word of God. Parents, you have to be brave. And if you have any adult in your life that you trust, if you're so uncomfortable with it, you're like, I can't do it, or I need somebody to help me with it, please, I beg you, get in front of the ball. Allow someone that you trust to open the conversation about this to you and your child. I heard of a youth director who admitted that she had sex in high school and she regretted it, that, it was peer pressure. And the parents found out that she shared that story with her students, and they had a problem with it. Why they had a problem with it, I don't know. Some parents are very, very serious about their kids not talking about sex. Whether you talk about it with them or not, whether you share your experiences with them or not, I'm not going to edit him out. He's just loud. He's with his dad. They're going to talk about it with their friends. They're going to wonder about it. And there's going to be some information out there for them. There's going to be a message out there for them. There's going to be something that the world has for them to consume if you choose not to talk to your children. Be brave. Have the conversation. Because again, like I said, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. People get to feeling real smoochy in Valentine's season. Not just adults. The kids too. What you gonna do? You need to equip your children to make good decisions about their bodies, about their emotions, about spiritual exchanges. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.